Thank you, Charlie. So I just love sitting in on these discussions because it seems like year after year after year we keep talking about the same things. And every year it gets just a little bit better. And every year there are some new ideas that sometimes bloom into great solutions. And you know, we've heard a little bit from Shuvo on the just on the policy side and some of the things that we might be able to do to help get automakers all headed in a similar direction from a policy perspective. With things that make sense for all of us. And from Bernie, we've got some ideas on how we might take these resources and find a way to consolidate them to make them easier to use. But ultimately, this is all about one thing. It's about supporting one's product and providing outstanding service support, which will ultimately turn into brand loyalty. And that's actually a theme that I've been talking about for about, last 8, 10 years. Maybe more. There's probably 10 presentations in my toolbox right now, all with this same theme: building brand loyalty through outstanding service support, and in this particular case, in the aftermarket. And for purposes of today's discussion, all surrounding open standards and diagnostics, and a concept that I'm going to introduce today called 360-degree service support, which you'll see in a few moments is not really a new concept at all. So we're going to talk a little bit about service readiness. What is it? Why it's important. Service readiness as the 360-degree service support concept. The challenge we face in the industry in terms of how to support these products. A formula that we are using now, and it is in its full implementation. It's successful, and we'll talk a little bit about what it is and how it works. Then we're going to talk a little bit about the business case. What's the business case for doing this for an OEM? What's the business case for doing this for a repair shop? And frankly, what's the business case for embracing this if you're a third-party tool manufacturer? And then some things that we can do to help advance the concept of just of an open standards diagnostic concept and empower aftermarket repairers to do a better job of fixing everybody's cars. So, what is service readiness? Well, it's the act of just having received the service training, the service information, service tools, the service parts, everything that's necessary to perform any diagnosis, any repair and or adjustments that might be required to support a product in advance of the product arrival for maintenance, diagnosis, or repair. In other words, when the car rolls in the shop, you should have all this. And if you're part of an automaker's service technology group, your primary function in that company is to make sure that your dealers are service ready when that first car rolls into the dealership. Because you can never tell what's going to go wrong with it and what they're going to have to do to fix it. And if you don't have a Scantool function, or you don't have the service information, or if the technician, or if a technician in the shop hasn't had an opportunity for training, you won't be able to support that product, and the customer will know it, and the customer won't like it. So that brings us to the major elements of service readiness, and in a 360-degree service support model, they are essentially the training and the knowledge, the factory service information, the factory diagnostic functions, the technical assistance support, the factory parts options, and it doesn't matter whether you're working in an OEM environment or you're working in an independent environment, you need the commitment to grow and learn, because in today's world, things change on a day-by-day basis. New cars come out every day. New systems come out on existing cars every day. Things are always changing. So, service readiness is not achieved with service information alone. We've been talking about service information and we've been talking about scan tools for years and years and years like that's all you need. But vehicles are too complex to attempt to diagnose and repair them without all of the appropriate resources, and you can't expect to succeed in the auto repair business today without a commitment to 100% service readiness for the vehicles and or systems that your customers expect you to support. So I realize there's not a lot of technicians in this room today, but and that message is designed more for a technician than it is for you all. But the important point here is that there's a lot of things that you have to have and that you have to have in advance of the arrival of the car if you really want to be able to fix it. And if you really want to be able to tell your customer that that when they leave their car, that you're going to be able to figure out what's wrong and for the lowest possible cost, in the shortest possible amount of time, with the least number of parts, get it fixed and on its way. So, what's our collective challenge? Well, this guy right here is a guy that has to fix your car every day, your car and millions of other cars all over the country. And he's looking rather perplexed. And he's perplexed because he's got, in a given day, maybe 5 different makes of vehicles that come in, and he might have to work on 5 different systems on those vehicles, and they're spread out over several different model years. And the next thing you know, he's trying to figure out what all these things are and what all these things mean. And, if you add it all up over the last 35 years, you have a pretty frustrating situation for the people who have to fix these cars. The question is, what do we do to empower them to support our products? So you may recognize your acronym there. So, what's a formula for a successful OEM service support model? Well, the first thing you have to have is readily available training resources. Some of us do a good job with that. Some of us do an adequate job. Some of us don't do a good job, but those training resources are out there. I'd like to see the industry do a better job with that, just as an industry, and I think we can. Certainly, web-based service information is a big part of that successful model. And if you think about where we've been with paper books and where we're at today, those resources are a lot more readily accessible nowadays. I think part of a successful service support model is open standards diagnostics, and in particular J2534 base diagnostics. And the reason that I say that is to be truly service ready for a Toyota model, you need the factory scan tool. And I understand as a service technology guy that a shop that is servicing 5 or 10 different makes of vehicles can't afford to have 10 different factory scan tools and to keep them all up to date. So we've actually moved in the direction of J2534 because we do understand that. Next, you need technical assistance of some sort, a technical assistance database, and perhaps a call center, because no matter how good you are, and I know the best technicians in this industry that flag in 6 figures every year, and they got a 20-minute rule. If they can't figure out what's wrong within 20 minutes and be on the way to a repair, they're on the phone with technical assistance, and it doesn't matter how good they are. That's just a standard business practice for them. So in my mind, that's a very important part of a 360-degree service support model. And then finally, you need a low-cost, short-term, and all-inclusive service information and diagnostic support model so that you can do this and you don't have to make a critical business decision at the beginning of every year whether or not you're going to be service ready for a Toyota product or a GM product or a Honda product. You can make the decision when the car rolls in the door, I can service that car, I'll have everything I need to be service ready. And by the way, let me just back up to that slide once more. For those of you in the OEM space, or those of you close to the OEM space, which is just about everybody here, this service support model is strikingly similar to something that already exists. this is the service support model for every one of our franchise dealers for just about every OEM. And essentially all we've done is taken it and transported it exactly the way it works in our dealers into the aftermarket space. So, how are we doing this right now? Well, the service information websites have transformed access to service and training resources, service information, really all the training resources for a very nominal fee, typically 15, 20 bucks. You can get anybody's service information for, for a day or two or three. And you've kind of solved the service information problem with these, with these service information web-based portals. But what we've done at Toyota is we've kind of expanded what that portal is for. It's not just for service information anymore. So we've got a model here where you've got a subscription that's available on demand, and you've got a subscription that's available for all of those resources in one fell swoop. So if you look at that matrix right there, what's in this Toyota TIS web-based service support portal? Well, you got a library of service information. You got your Scantool in there. You got your vehicle calibrations in there. And if you happen to be in the security business, you've got all of the security-related stuff. So right there, you've got, if you look at all of those categories, you've got everything that a dealer uses to support a product. The one missing element is that technical assistance hotline to call when you need help. And I guess we'll talk about how it's priced in a moment, but it's all there at a price that can be passed along as a line item in a repair order, not a whole lot different than passing along an environmental disposal fee for antifreeze or tires or consumables. You already do it. So let's talk a little bit about the tool. Our open standard Scantool, somebody mentioned it before, we call it Techstream LITE. It's designed to work with any validated J2534-1 interface. It's your J2534 box, it's your PC or tablet or smartphone if we get one capable of running this type of an app, and some of the tablets already are, and our software. So this is what I believe is an emerging model for diagnostics for anybody. So Techstream LITE's the same diagnostic software suite that runs on our $6,000 factory tool, but it's designed to run on your laptop PC connected through an inexpensive interface. Many of the companies represented here make them today, and many of your devices will work with our software today. And we've developed a short-term diagnostic software subscription model, and it's available on demand, and it's priced in a way that those prices can be passed along in the cost of a repair order. And you can even add a little margin to it, and it's still pretty reasonably priced. And then finally, because we understand that every now and then technicians want a subject matter expert to help them understand perplexing questions, we add technical assistance support to put techs in touch with Toyota specialists. And this service is included with every professional diagnostic subscription. So you can subscribe as a professional level diagnostic subscriber, and you can get all the service information. You can get the Scantool software. You can get access to all the calibrations. You can get a technical assistance hotline. You can get access to all the training information and all of the, the current new model videos and the new car features information, everything you need to use to prepare for the car to show up in the first place, and all the resources that you need to diagnose and fix the car once it gets there. And it's all for no risk, because you don't have to throw down a lot of cash, and if you get in trouble, there's somebody to call to help bail you out. And then you can decide after the first time whether it's worth trying that again. So this is a look at something that that we did partnering with the folks at Identifix. We have somebody from Identifix in the audience here, and you probably know from talking to Steve Sweet that this is something that we've been talking about for years. And it's something that it took a lot of work to convince people that this was the right thing to do. And then it took some time with the lawyers, talking to the lawyers and figuring out how we were going to manage all of this. But last year, we introduced this whole concept of using Identifix's product. And for those of you who aren't familiar with them, and I think everybody in here probably is, they run circles around OEM technical support hotlines. Not because the OEM hotlines don't do a great job, but just because the OEM hotline, their depth of knowledge is limited to, just to a few model years. I should say their breadth of knowledge is pretty much limited to just a few model years. And an OEM technical assistance hotline has generally got people cycling in, people cycling out, and if they know 3 years worth of information well, they're doing a great job. And the fact is, the folks at the dealership are rarely calling for support on anything but a 1, 2, maybe at the most 3-year-old model. So working with a company like Identifix, who has a great breadth of knowledge and a great depth of knowledge, and providing this resource to the people who have all of the other stuff you need to support our products just made so much sense. And essentially what you get when you subscribe is access to direct hit for our products, Toyota, Lexus, Scion, and you can do your own data mining, and that should point you in the right direction on just about any kind of a problem. But if it doesn't, you also have the option of one free call. You're going to have to pay for subsequent calls, but you have the option of one free call as part of your subscription to get you started and to expose you to the process. So getting back to this slide here, really it's our goal to maintain a complete service support resource portal for everything that an independent shop needs to support our mutual customers. These people that we as an automaker sold the car to, that a dealership sold the car to, that a dealership supported for a while, but when it's on a second owner, third owner, fourth owner, or when the warranty's gone, this is something that essentially empowers independent shops to continue providing an ownership experience worthy of the product itself and make those folks loyal to the brand and get them interested in coming back and buying another one or buying a used one and growing the market share of the brand. And just to give you an idea how much this is being used, and I'm going to show you some stats in a moment, but right now we made our dealers buy between 2 and, I can't tell you the upper limit, but we made our dealers buy a minimum of 2 of our big $6,000 Scantool that they pay support on every year, and some dealers bought as many as 20, 25, or 30 of those units because it's so valuable to them, because everything that they need is right there at the car when they need it. But interestingly, there were still gaps in the dealership in terms of people who didn't have all of the diagnostic stuff that needed it from time to time, or some of them needed it all the time, and the dealer just didn't want to invest in that $6,000 piece. Well, in the last year and a half, we sold another of these interface packages to dealers because they wanted to fill in the gaps. So for less than $500, for substantially less than $500, we put additional points of diagnostic presence in our own dealerships. But at the same time, we had somewhere north of 500, nearly 600 aftermarket shops who have invested in a very similar solution. And the interesting thing about that investment is that's a hardware investment. Just wait till you see about the software investment that's being made. So here's our subscription model, and you can see what you get and what you get for the money First of all, we've got 3 different types of subscriptions. We got a standard subscription, that's service information only. We got a professional diagnostic subscription, which gets you software and it gets you calibrations, and as I just mentioned, it gets you the Identifix product and 1 free call. And we have the security professional level, which actually gets you all of those same resources plus access to security-related information, and you have to be registered in the NASTF security registry to be able to get that level of access. But look at the way that it's priced. And I don't think this is a antitrust issue because this is public information. You can go on the NASTF website and get this right now. So, you know, you just need the information. You know, $15, you're good for a couple of days. That's nothing new. Everybody's doing that. You know, it's priced very reasonably for a year. But I think what's really important here is that for another $40, which again I believe is easily passed along in the price of a repair, you get all the diagnostics. And if you got a laptop PC and you got a J2534-1 compliant interface, you now have everything that a franchise dealer has in terms of service support resources to fix the car, because we've added that technical assistance piece. And, you know, some people say, well, you know, they can't get to the factory information, and there's stuff that they don't know that the car company knows. Well, actually, that's not the case. Actually, the Identifix guy has access to our own product engineering folks. So if they have a question they can't answer, they can come to us. And they are best qualified to support the people who've got 4-year, 5-year, 6-year-old, 10-year-old, 15-year-old cars. So we've got a model here that it's a low cost per repair. It can be passed along in the price of an RO. There's special options for people who use it frequently. You know, we've got annual subscriptions for all this kind of stuff, and it is truly a complete service readiness package. So, how well has this idea panned out? How well does it sell? I've got some statistics here for you that show you what's happened over the last 3 years and what's happened over a piece of this year and what we're projecting for this year. So these are daily and monthly subscriptions. And you'll notice that in terms of the standard subscriptions, back in 2008, and we had just introduced security-related subscriptions back in 2008, you had roughly about 6,000 short-term subscriptions. This is a combination of both daily and monthly. They're mostly daily. The monthly is not a real popular subscription. And you had just a handful of people using the security. So the bars in white are professional and security level. The bars in blue are just the standard level of subscription. And notice in 2009, the daily subscriptions dropped just a little bit, pretty much flat. But we started to get an increase in those professional and security level subscriptions. And in 2010, the standard level subscriptions decreased, but notice that we're starting to get a significantly higher number of those professional subscriptions. And keep in mind, we didn't really actively promote all this. I mean, we announced it at a couple of industry events, but we haven't done the advertising or anything on this. And look at what we're doing for 2011, and these are numbers projected out based on the first 3 months of 2011. So January, February, March of 2011, assuming we remain at the same level, although I expect the level's actually going to continue to grow over the year, but assuming that we stay at the same level for the next 3 quarters that we were in the first quarter, and notice that the total number of short-term subscriptions is going to jump up to around 7,000 prescriptions, and a good third of them are the professional and security level subscriptions. So it's clear that the value of that type of a subscription is very helpful. I mean, people are starting to buy it. But here's something that perhaps is a little more striking. These are annual subscriptions, again, for the standard level, just the service information, for the professional and security. Notice that from 2008 to 2011, the total volume is going to more than double. We're going from approximately 420 total subscriptions for the year, with gradual increase from 09, a pretty substantial increase to 10, and the numbers are starting to dramatically increase right now for 2011. And the big news here is that the professional level subscriptions are outnumbering the standard subscriptions now by more than 2 to 1. So actually less than a third of the total annual subscriptions are now service information only. People are making the extra investment. They're getting the Scantool software and the technical assistance. They think it's a great value. So, to you automakers in the crowd, and for those of you who think, well, you can't make any money selling something cheap, I won't go into a lot of detail on how we came up with these numbers, but you can see where the trend in revenue is going. Put 3 zeros after those numbers. So, can you support your service information, service, your resources with a model like this? Can you actually pay for the people that it takes to support this? Can you pay for the development of the information? Does it make sense to do something like this? I think these numbers, they tell me yes. And if you're not already pricing your stuff this way, if you're not already thinking about enhancing your service readiness resources to make them all-encompassing, to give that full 360-degree level of support, I'm here to tell you, people will buy it. You make it available, people will buy it. So, what's the business case here? Well, on the OEM side, there's definitely growing demand as vehicle complexity increases, and we know it's increasing. You saw it in the slide with the frustrated technician, and we're getting a bunch of new acronyms every year. The proven sales model, we can get a higher gross dollar at a lower price. We can sell more and actually generate more revenue for the same costs. We can cover our operational costs, including those operational costs that are required of us by law. It enhances customer satisfaction for the life of the vehicle. These resources are available for a 20-year-old car. They're available for a 5-year-old car. They're available for a 1-year-old car, if that's what you service. Definitely improves brand loyalty. I mean, you ask independent shops and you ask their customers about loyalty to brand, and they'll tell you that one of the things that makes them loyal is the fact that they can get them fixed. I mean, they like the durability, they like the dependability, but they also like the fact that they can go into just about any shop they want and they can get it fixed at a reasonable cost. There's not people throwing parts at our cars to fix them. It definitely supports market share growth goals. And I'd love to see a master's thesis done on this topic, because if it was, I think it would demonstrate my point that you make people loyal to the brand doing things like this, and your market share grows, especially on the older car side of things. You get more people that want your older cars. It provides a pull-through parts marketing opportunity. The dealers that have embraced this love it because it gives them an opportunity to sell parts to these shops. And then finally, and I think this is a really important one for any automaker, for those of you who are supporting multiple diagnostic platforms or multiple streams of software to support different markets or to support dealer versus aftermarket, this allows you to get away from multiple support streams and one stream of software with a database for unique markets, database for North America, database for Europe, database for Japan, and it makes it so much easier and cheaper to do diagnostics this way. And then finally, we do have regulation. It's a hedge against regulatory risk. J2534 is a required standard for vehicle reprogramming. I personally think it's just a matter of time before it starts getting suggested that it be used in a broader way. So So what's the business case on the independent repairer side? Well, you get 100% service readiness, and you have very, very low risk. You don't have to spend a lot of money, and you don't have to invest in a lot of tools, and you got somebody to call if you get in trouble. It encourages a shop to expand its service offerings. You know, maybe there's certain things you weren't doing because you didn't want to invest in a factory scan tool, or because you were afraid that you didn't have somebody to call and you didn't want to waste time. Well, now you've got an incentive to try expanding your service offerings. Reduces the time to repair with fewer comebacks, better information, better support, 20-minute rule. Minimizes difficult capital investment decisions. You don't have to decide at the beginning of the year whether you want to be service ready for a Toyota anymore. You can be service ready when you need to be. Trims capital investments in factory scan tools, enhances customer satisfaction and confidence. It improves loyalty to an independent shop because they never have to send customers away. And again, it is a proven model that's used by tens of thousands of shops. And when I say that, I don't think we have tens of thousands of subscribers. It's more accurate to say used tens of thousands of times by shops. The numbers, the number of page views will just boggle your mind, especially if you include what we do on the dealer side. But if you just look at the page views on the aftermarket use of our stuff, it's astronomical. So what are some things that we can do to keep this all moving forward? And this goes along with some of the things that Bernie was talking about and Shuvo was talking about. Well, we need to maintain and we need to harmonize some of the standards that are already in place. We've got what is becoming a pretty good and pretty robust standard, J2534 in the U.S. and European Union. It's required for reprogramming, but as we have demonstrated and many other car companies have now demonstrated, it works great for full-on diagnostics as well, and there's a Dash 2 brand for stuff that doesn't fit under Dash 1. And then there's ISO 22900 and 01 in the European Union that describes a much higher level of diagnostics and data exchange and everything. And really those two standards need to be harmonized. You can't hold everybody to the 22900 standard, but you certainly could hold them to one or the other, or a combination of J2534 as the lowest common denominator and the ISO standard as the higher level. And I think you can do that just by modifying the ISO standard. People tell me that may be easier said than done, but I'm an optimist. We need more cooperation between ISO, SAE, automakers, and policymakers. We all got to work together to ensure that the global diagnostic and regulatory policies are all in harmony. And then really we need to demonstrate the benefits to executives at car companies, because unless they're going to make decisions to move in this direction, it's not going to happen. So, we need to show that it's a lower cost of development for global diagnostic support. We need to show that it's a lower cost dealer solution. Makes dealers happy, and if dealers are happy, the automaker's usually happy. And it's more points of presence, and that's more opportunities to get the job done right. So, again, what is service readiness? Well, it's having everything you need and being ready when the car rolls in the shop. And what are the conclusions here? Well, the current service support models for aftermarket repair make it difficult for independent shops and technicians to be fully service ready for their customers. Modest changes in the way that automakers deliver diagnostics and other service support resources can significantly improve product support in the aftermarket, enhance the owner experience, increase brand loyalty, and augment their bottom line. And then finally, shops and techs that pursue product knowledge and who support and invest in job-appropriate service resources can be fully service ready at an affordable cost, and those are the shops that are going to thrive in the future. So, get involved, support the National Auto Service Task Force. There's lots of good things going on in this group. You've seen a lot of them today, and You know, it's okay to talk about it all, but you got to roll up your sleeves and do some of the hard work. And with that, thank you very much.